Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series where we add value to people's lives, happening every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 12 on ebursradio.com. You can also catch the Lunchtime Series on all available podcast channels. And today's conversation for our coaching segment, our mindset is the gateway to unlock the infinite potential we have within us. But if mindsets can work for us, they also can work against us. Drawing in from his 15-year-long career of disrupting the status quo and succeeding in the multiple industries, Utkarsh brings the understanding of life and leadership to help you succeed with a simple five-part framework. And that's what we're going to be chatting about today, guys. Joining me all the way from India, I think it's correct, right? Life skills facilitator, coach, and founder of Ignited Neurons, Utkarsh Narang. Utkarsh, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin, for that very thoughtful introduction. Yeah, joining you from Delhi, India, and it's a joy to be here with you.
Yeah. Thank you. And Utkarsh, to kick it off today, tell us more about you. Tell us what it is you do, how you got to be in this position, and tell us more about you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, if I be honest, I think this is the last place I would expect myself to be professionally and then talking to you on the series. Because if I take you back 15 years ago, I started my career as a physical therapist, and life was well. 6, 7 years into being an orthopedic physiotherapist, I was enjoying healing patients, and never did I imagine that life would take a new turn till in 2013, which is when I started questioning, like, what's my higher purpose on the planet? Why am I here for? And that led me to network and meet a professor from Columbia Business School. I took a leap and joined their leadership firm, which was at that time a very risky move. But as they say, that if you are logical and thoughtful about the intentions and the effort, then things work out in your way, and that's what happened. So that was my introduction into the leadership domain, the coaching domain, and I spent 7 8 years with them after that, and grew in different multiple roles till about in the middle of the pandemic. Again, the big question started to haunt me: what's my purpose on the planet? And that's when I took another leap and started my own company called Ignited Neurons. I'm an executive coach and ACC ICF certified, and I love to help people realize their highest potential and help to have them also take these logical leaps in their lives so that they can have lives that are more meaningful, that are more purposeful, but also stable and just happy.
Yeah, fantastic. So one of the points that you make here is today we want to embark on a journey where you realize you're experiencing each of those experiences are meaningful, but you speak about connecting the dots backwards and not forwards.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that because I find that incredibly intriguing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the first time I heard this concept was in a Steve Jobs speech. He was speaking, I think, at Stanford's commencement address he was giving. And he said that while he was going through his life, he would have never realized that doing an arts class many years ago would have led to the beautiful typography on a Mac computer. And that's when he said that you can only connect the dots backwards. And when I reflect back on my own life, seeing that I started off as a physical therapist, which to me now might seem like, oh, that was such a waste of my time. But then I moved on to a different role, and then that might seem a waste of my time. But if I take us back a while ago, and when I was in high school, I'd gone to a shop to actually buy a T-shirt for myself, and the T-shirt that I really loved and ultimately bought had these words written on it multiple times. Called in Hindi, it is "Main kaun hu," which in English means "Who am I?" And so that is the question that's been my kind of guiding force through life. That at every point in life, when I'm feeling that things need to shift a little bit, that's what I start to ask myself: that who am I really? And that question, when answered in a thoughtful way, has guided my path. So when I now coach my clients as an executive coach, I feel the experience of being a physical therapist and meeting people and talking to them, the experience of being at the Leadership Training Institute I was at, and working with them through these 7 8 years as a salesperson, as a videographer, that all now comes back to me saying that, oh, I was picking up these beautiful things on my way, which are letting me be my best self right now. So that's where this thought about just that you can connect these dots backwards and not forwards comes to mind. And the other thing that I'd love to share to our listeners here, Kevin, is that we need to all live a life which is very authentic, where what we are, what we speak, what we think is all in alignment. And for that, I think the activity, the exercise that's really been helpful for me personally, and I'd definitely recommend it to others listening, is to go to your core and find your values. What is it that truly motivates you? What is that truly inspires you? What are you on this planet for? And when you do that kind of reflection, Kevin, then things emerge for you which even sometimes you don't realize. For example, I have these set of 5 values that I deeply and truly feel about. And so those 5 values are the value of love, excellence, discipline, growth, and the fifth one is freedom. So when I'm able to express these values authentically in my daily life, that's when I feel the most joyful. And so that's how I feel one needs to lead their life, which is a life that's driven by values.
So, Utkarsh, one of the things, I mean, it's not part of my questions right now, but you mentioned authentically, live a life authentically. How do I know that I'm actually living a life authentically? I think, the question I ask is, very often we get into a situation, through my own experiences in life and identification of how I do life.
Right.
I believe sometimes I am authentic, right? What is that clear indicator? You mentioned values as part of that sort of beacon of really holding you true to your authentic self. But how do I know that that's my authentic self?
Yeah, that's a very very good question, Kevin. And there are multiple parts to it. Let me probably start with a story that's coming to mind right now. It's a story about Gandhi, where Gandhiji was giving a speech on the stage, and in the audience was a British journalist, and he was standing just next to Gandhiji's personal assistant. And so Gandhi spoke on the stage for 4 hours, and he was very eloquent and very precise and crisp about his thoughts and ideas. And so this journalist asked the PA, how did Gandhi do that? He didn't have a script in his hand. He didn't have any kind of flip cards to go through. How did he speak for 4 hours without slipping even once? And the PA said, "Sir, that in your case, what we think, what we feel, what we do, and what we say are completely misaligned. Whereas in Gandhi's case, what Gandhiji is thinking, what he's feeling, what he's doing, what he's speaking, that's all in alignment. And that's all in one purpose, which is to get India its freedom. And that's why he can speak for 4 hours on the stage without any cue cards. And I think that's where Kevin, get inspiration on our own way of authentic living, which is that if you can define those values for yourself, if you can define who you really are on the inside, and then only project that on the outside, that to me is the first step. And it's not going to be easy. On many occasions it'll be really hard because in a specific situation the world might want you to be someone else, and that's where the courage lies, right? That you're able to be who you want to be and project who you want to be. And what comes to mind, I think it might be like a good point to share this, is that in our work at Ignite and Neurons, what we've done is we've created this like a pyramid, you can say, which is like 5 steps that can help you attain a sense of authentic living, a sense
Yeah.
of having that highest achievement. And the first level, Kevin, starts with is to have an awareness. You need to have an awareness as to who you truly are, as to how your environment is responding to you. How do you want to be in this moment? How are you feeling in this moment? I think these inner things of emotions, of feelings, of who you want to be, you need to have a complete sense of awareness to them. So that's the first level. Be aware.
So, just on that note, just to
Yes.
to to cash it out a little bit. So awareness on what is happening, what is my environment showing me, where am I finding myself in my career, perhaps where am I understanding what my environment is showing up. Every single little bit about awareness. Like I think a lot of the times, you know, I don't know, maybe different in India, but
Mhm.
one of the themes that we have in Africa, South Africa, is, that awareness stuff is not for me, that's for those people, you know.
Yeah.
And yet you have to get back to yourself and kind of really start recognizing self, right?
Yeah, that's lovely, Kevin. And you're absolutely, and it's not, I would not say it's cultural to South Africa or to India or to Australia or to any part. I think it's very universal because we've been brought up in cultures where we are expected to be something, and where we are asked to push our feelings down, to not be who we want to be, but instead project a certain class. For example, if I'm doing a sales call, I will not project that my product is not ready. If I'm trying to convince someone of a topic, then I'll not say that I'm not the best informed person on this, because I've been told that you have to be the most smartest person in the room. And if that's not the case, then you need to rewind and recalibrate your thinking. But truly, that's not the case, because the world we live in is, we don't have to be very reactive in this world. So until unless you have that awareness of your emotions, awareness of what you're actually feeling, you'll not be responsive. And that's where the difference is. That how can you be responsive and
I
not
love
reactive?
I love that you share that. So yeah, so how to really connect to your awareness is not to be reactive, but to be responsive on really
Absolutely.
noticing and paying attention. Okay, fantastic. Yes, step one. Then we move
Lovely.
into step two, which is
Absolutely. The step two is, now, once you have the awareness, start to accept. And what we need your acceptance of is that you have certain strengths and you will have certain weaknesses. But the point is that you can be different. You can accept that growth is possible, that change is possible. So, what I'm going to invite you now is to think that yes, I might have certain areas of improvement, but if I work upon them, I can learn those new skills, and no one's going to stop me from doing that. So that acceptance that change is possible, and in many ways is inevitable, and that if I work diligently with discipline on a certain task, I can I can achieve that. I can improve in that. I think that kind of acceptance is the next level that we're speaking about.
yeah, I love that. Yeah. So and yeah, acceptance. I'm just I'm thinking I'm devil's advocate here because sometimes people, as much as we know that the reality is we need to accept a situation around noticing what is wrong or what is
Yeah.
challenging or what is not working for me. Not the easiest thing to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And see, the point is that yes, we can go in with a mindset saying that, oh, now I cannot do it anything. I don't have resources, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the opportunity, or if I have a job which I hate, I have to be in this job because that's my life now. But if you push enough, if you are thoughtful and mindful enough to be owning that situation where you say that, oh, if I take this one small step, maybe I can change a little bit. I was reading this something, Kevin, that if a flight starts from San Francisco with a certain direction on the nose of the airplane, then it lands in New York. But if you deviate that by a few degrees, like 1 to 2 degrees, the destination could be very different for that flight. So it's the small shifts that you can make in your own life on a day-to-day basis that then compounds to a big shift, a magnificent shift.
Yeah. So and that leads us right into step number three, which is act,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So act. See, we can be aware of whatever we want to. We can be accepting of the world and of changing it. But if we don't act, nothing's going to happen. They say the graveyard is full of brilliant ideas because people who were thinking about those but did not act and ended up in the graveyard. So action. You have to act diligently. Again, with discipline. That's one of my values. Until unless you act on a daily basis, nothing's going to shift for you. And on certain days, having that inspiration, that motivation might be difficult, but that's okay. We can pause for a day but then get back to it again the next day. And one idea that I feel is, at least the corporate world is not teaching us enough, is that we need to act from a place of love. And what I mean by that is that there was this series that I do, and I had a member there who came. He said, we're all born on this planet not to compete with each other, but to complete each other. And to me, that was like a beautiful thing to say, because we all feel that, oh, if I don't do this, then someone else is going to do that. If I don't grab this opportunity, then someone else will take that. If I don't get promoted, someone else will. But why can't we start to think that, yes, if I deserve it, I will get promoted, but the next person in line will also get promoted? So it's got to be a more kind of a holistic approach to seeing each other as just one piece of the puzzle, and not different.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes. And then after our acting, we need to.
We need to accelerate. Once you've started acting on something, it is becoming a habit. The fourth A for us is accelerate, because this is when you want your impact to be shown on your own personal life, on your family and friends, but also on your organization, also on your community. And how do you now accelerate your growth? That's where your values are going to come into play. That if your value, for example mine, is excellence, then you'll keep on producing good work for the world, and that'll allow you to accelerate in life.
Yeah, accelerate. I think that's the that consistency that really helps. When you
Absolutely.
started taking the action, keep that momentum going, so that you
Right.
keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And because of the momentum you're creating, you start speeding up, right?
Absolutely.
And by doing that, you start really churning it out and really defining where
Yeah.
it is you want to go. I think that's
Correct.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the last step to after we accelerating,
Yeah.
that
That's
is.
when you start to achieve. Where the achievement again should not be like an outer success metric given by the world kind of achievement, but what you all truly started on when you were thinking about your own values, when you were thinking about your own destination in life. Just stay true to that, because it's very easy once you're in acceleration mode to then become maybe greedy, then become maybe that I have power and become arrogant. You would not want that. So you would want that, yes, I need achievement, but I need achievement by creating a balance between my body, my mind, and my spirit, because that's in true sense where success lies for us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, from there, we want to just to wrap it up. I mean, to sum that up.
Yeah,
So, be aware, to accept, to act, to accelerate, and to achieve. And when we have those five key areas, and we use that as a framework, there we really kick into our authentic selves. We really start cultivating a world and a reality for myself as an individual more
absolutely.
actively and purposefully. Right.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And see, the great thing about these five are that they can be defined as per your own conditions. You don't have to like say that, oh, I heard about this from someone and that's why I have to rely on this. You can redefine them, you can in a way tweak them, and you can apply them into your own life. And why we started off with awareness, there's enough research out there to prove that when you have a sense of awareness, and I'm including self awareness as well here, when you are aware of who you truly are, about your own emotions, that allows you to be more curious, be more creative. You're able to foster more beautiful relationships with people around you. You're innovative, and in every sense of the word you do a really good job. And it's not something that's being like in the fuzzy world, just fuzzy language that we're sharing. If you just google around scholarly papers on this topic, there are enough evidence where it is seen that if a manager is self-aware, that leads to a higher impact on the organization's revenue. And if you can build teams that are more aware of each other and their own team dynamics, then the productivity, the effectiveness, the efficiency, everything for that team goes up. So there's enough science that backs up that awareness can actually be the first step to achieving your highest potential.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned things, with some of the research that you show, like problem solving, higher creativity, productivity, courage, trust, deeper, meaningful relationships, all intrinsically tied back to how to deal with people, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, one of the last questions here is, how do we cultivate awareness? And
Yeah.
because as mentioned in the beginning, I think half the time we are oblivious to our own environments, our own reality, our own um, driving mechanisms. How do we then do that? How do we start cultivating awareness?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was reading this quote this morning that the whole process of building awareness is not like a destination where you'll reach. It's more like you're enjoying the drive so much that it just brings you a lot of joy. So that's one thing. That let's start with that statement, that you'll not achieve a state of perfect awareness, but you will start to live and imbibe these qualities in your life itself. And see, the way we can do that is, it could be like an external motivator can help you to become more aware, and there could be internal things that you can start to do on your own. I'm going to share a few so that the listeners can find value and start to maybe implement it in their own lives. But on the external, the first and foremost is to get a lot of feedback. You can start to socialize this idea among your own family, your peers, that I'm trying to work on this fact called awareness. And can you give me feedback on a regular basis if I'm being thoughtful, if I'm being mindful in our conversations or not, if I'm being aware of my own emotions and also yours. So that's the first one. The second is to learn from the masters. So in a way, you can start to surround yourself with books, with resources, with people who are also on this kind of a mission in their life, where they're trying to build a lot of awareness, where you can read books by masters like Thich Nhat Hanh and others, to see how you can actually develop this skill of awareness. And then the third thing that I've seen a lot, in at least my case as well, is that I got myself a coach, because a coach definitely does help in building a lot of awareness. The first time I was offered in my life to get a coach, I was like, I don't need a coach, I'm perfect. But when I had that 6 month long journey a few years ago, that's the moment I decided that when I grow up, I will be a coach. And that's who I am right now. So I think getting a coach is a great way to help you kick off this journey of self awareness. So those are like the extrinsic ways we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just moving on maybe then to the intrinsic that I was sharing with you about, is that you need to create a practice of reflection. That can you, on a daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, whatever works for you, start to create this practice where you will pause and you will detach yourself from this beautiful hyper connected world and start to enjoy solitude, start to enjoy your own company, and reflect on your own ideas. One thing I used to do, Kevin, was that I would send myself half yearly emails. So for example, in June, I'd reflect that what am I doing right now, and where do I want to be 6 months down the line at the end of the year. And so I'll drop myself an email with that summary, so that when I'm going back in December to reflect upon how I've been doing, I have a benchmark that I can read through and see if I made progress or not.
Wait. Just as a practice, I love that. I love that. So you send yourself an email in the future. So like in November, like the
Yeah,
25th of November, and you're like, oh, hey, just as a reminder, I want to remind you that this is where you set up to sort of get
ab-
yourself going, and you remind yourself you've literally sent yourself an emaal.
absolutely.
I
And
love
you read that. See, technology can support you in beautiful ways. Just, to me, calendar, it's like a tool that I literally worship. That if you can set yourself up and put a 15-minute reminder for each day sometimes, or even each week, that I'm going to self reflect in these 15 minutes, and just create the space. We're so hyper connected with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and whatnot, that we forget to take those pauses. We feel that even if I'm folding clothes, let me turn on a podcast, let me turn on a video, let me turn on a Netflix series, so that I'm more productive in that moment. Maybe it's time to stop those activities and give those activities their due credit, while you fold your clothes and find your creative neurons sparking.
that. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'm gonna set up my calendar right now. I'm gonna send myself some reminders on how well I'm doing.
absolutely.
Yay! Fantastic.
Lovely. That's
Do,
great. Yeah, see, that's one. Then meditation. I think, to me, it took me a long while to get into this practice of meditation, and I have my days where I struggle. But what I've recently done is that I've associated meditation with an activity that I have to do daily, which is taking a bath. And rarely are there days in a year where I would not take a bath. So as soon as I'm done with my bath, the next activity my brain is now programmed to do is to meditate. Whether I do it for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20, but it's a regular practice. And so it's just connected. And so that's how you can build these practices. And then final one, and then I'll open up for thoughts from you. See, I get very overwhelmed when I think about this. All of us, 8 billion people on the planet, have been breathing since the time we were born. We take in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. To me, this is such an awe inspiring activity that we all do. And if you can build a mindfulness, a presence where every time I'm breathing, I'm going to be more mindful about my own life, because it's such a gift that I have. If you can start to think of life with that idea, think of every interaction with that kind of love and just presence, I think you've figured awareness out to me. So yeah.
yeah, I love that. Guys, just to consider and recap on those, how do we cultivate awareness through your intrinsic and extrinsic? Surrounding yourself with the right people, get yourself a coach, get some feedback. Intrinsically, have a practice where you have reflection, meditate, and create that mindfulness in every action. I love that. It crushes. It's a fantastic way of framing your brain.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And it takes time. And who's in a hurry? Let's probably fast fail on these things as well, where maybe we learn new things and share with each other.
Absolutely. So if we had to conclude our conversations today, and you could leave us with some wonderful advice with everyone out there to kind of go, here is some really good advice to stick by. What
Yeah.
would that be?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. The first one is that we live in this. I've referred to it enough now, I think, but it's a hyper connected world where we are always being fed so many beautiful things. But the power rests when you stop just consuming and also start creating. The power lies when you can actually stop and start to dive within yourself. And so I would really recommend our listeners to start to develop a practice of solitude, a practice of meditation, a practice of just kind of connecting with their deeper selves. So that's the first one. The second is, in Indian mythology, there's an epic called Mahabharata, where in one of those stories, there were these five brothers who were being trained for their archery lessons by their teacher. And the teacher brings them out to the field one day and asks that there's a tree out there. Within the tree is a model of a bird, and I want you to shoot your bow on that, or your arrow on the eye of that bird. So the students are okay, we can do that. But then the teacher starts to ask them, come one by one and look at the tree and tell me what you see. The first brother comes and says, I see a lot of leaves, I see branches, and then there's the sparrow, and I see the eye. Okay, go. The second one says the same thing. The third one comes and says, oh, I see the bird. The fourth one comes and similar answers. The fifth one, who was kind of smartest of them all in terms of his archery skills, he comes in, and the guru, as they call the teacher, what do you see there, Arjun? And the archer, he responds, Guru, I only see the eye of the bird. And that's the level of commitment that we want in our lives as well, where we can start to define what is our eye of the bird. And once you have it, just don't let it go after it with all your effort, with all your power, with all your might, because eye of the bird is what's guiding your life. So I think if we can do these reflections for a life, we can hopefully all work towards building a life that is well lived.
Absolutely. I love that. That's such a fantastic story. And definitely it gives you a good frame of keeping your eye on the target, right? And really
Absolutely.
just knowing where it is you're going. And
Yeah.
I think it's so instrumental to how to get involved. I always think of it as, how do I consciously get involved with myself and my life, right? And really get my brain wrapped around it. And gosh, I love that, and thank you for spending some time with us, guys. If you want to find
Absolutely.
out more, you can check it out on ignitedneurons.me. Gosh, you've got a website and some social medias to connect to.
Absolutely. So my website is ignitedneurons.me, and you can directly email me if you wish to. The name is Utkarsh Utkarsh at ignitedneurons.me. I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Just type in my name or Ignited Neurons, and I'm happy that you will reach me. Happy to connect with individuals who are looking to find their eye of the bird to help them. And if organizations want to build a sense of self awareness in their people to motivate them, to keep them engaged in the purposeful, beautiful work that you all are doing, I will be happy to guide you through that and then have these conversations. Thank you, Kevin.
Fantastic, guys. And if you want to check that out, all that information will be in the description boxes below. Utkarsh Narang, thank you for chatting to me, and thanks for spending some time.
Absolutely, Kevin. It was joy. Thank you so much. Look forward to it.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll chat to you soon.
Take care.
Cheers for now.
Bye.